Do you understand English perfectly, but you freeze or panic when someone says something and you only catch half of it?
Oh, yeah.
Be honest. Do you just pretend you heard them? Maybe say what on repeat, or just smile, nod, and, you know, hope for the absolute best?
We have all been there. I mean, it is a completely universal experience for anyone speaking a second language.
Right. It really is.
But today, we are going to completely dismantle that panic response. By the end of this deep dive, you will have a functional toolkit of 5 simple, natural expressions that will help you completely avoid those agonizingly awkward silences.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah, you will know exactly how to handle missed information with total confidence.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we can just hand over a list of solutions, we really have to look at the underlying problem, right?
Exactly. The root cause.
Yeah. We need to understand why our natural instinct, which is usually pretending we heard everything perfectly, creates such absolute disasters in communication. It seems like the safest route in the moment, but, well, it almost always backfires.
It really does create disasters. And to show you exactly how this goes wrong, we are going to act out a conversation right now.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, a very uncomfortable, highly unnatural conversation.
Yeah.
I want you, the listener, to pay close attention and see if you recognize your own potential mistakes here.
Okay, I am going to play the role of the nervous language learner who is, terrified of looking foolish.
And I am your colleague. We are at work, and I am walking up to your desk with an important update. Ready?
Already, let's do this.
Hey, don't forget that we've moved the meeting to the conference room on the 3rd floor. It starts at 3:15.
Yes.
Did you hear me?
Yes, of course.
Great. So where is the meeting?
The second floor?
No, the 3rd floor.
Right, the 3rd floor.
And what time does it start?
At 3:30.
No, 3:15.
Oh, sorry.
You didn't hear anything I said, did you?
Not really.
Then why did you say yes?
I didn't want to ask you to repeat yourself.
But now I've had to repeat everything anyway, and we both feel awkward.
That scene? Wow. Yeah.
Just acting that out, my heart rate actually went up. That was painful to get through.
What's fascinating here is the psychology behind why learners do this. Like, why do we put ourselves through that agony?
It's a great question.
It all comes down to fear, combined with cognitive overload. When someone speaks to you in a second language, your brain is doing double duty.
Right. You're translating and listening.
Exactly. It is hearing the raw sounds, and it is frantically scrambling to translate them. When a piece of data goes missing, the amygdala, the fear center of the brain, often takes over.
It's essentially the classic fight, flight, or freeze response. And just blindly nodding and saying yes is the conversational equivalent of the freeze response. We are deer in the headlights.
Precisely. People fear looking rude or exposing that their language skills aren't quote-unquote perfect.
Oh, absolutely. There is this deeply internalized narrative that asking someone to repeat themselves is a personal failure. We experience the cognitive dissonance of being intelligent, capable adults who suddenly feel like helpless children just because we missed a preposition or a time marker.
Let me push back on the shame aspect for a second, because if we really think about it, native speakers miss words all the time.
Oh, constantly.
Right. People mumble, they talk too fast, there's a loud coffee machine in the background, or a truck drives by outside. So why are language learners so deeply ashamed to just ask for repetition when native speakers do it every single day?
This raises an important question, and the answer is rooted in identity. Native speakers ask for repetition constantly because they don't tie their self-worth to the language itself.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, if a native speaker misses a word, they blame external factors, the loud coffee machine, or the fact that the other person is a low talker. For a learner, if they miss a word, they immediately blame themselves. They think, my vocabulary isn't good enough, or my listening skills are terrible.
Oh, wow. That is such a crucial distinction. We internalize the environmental noise as a personal flaw,
Exactly.
but asking someone to repeat themselves is completely normal, provided you use the right tool for the situation. Because the other extreme isn't great either. If pretending to understand is a bad idea, just shouting, "What?" every 5 seconds is also a massive trap.
A huge trap. Now, to be clear, what isn't universally wrong.
Right.
If you are with your close friends hanging out on the couch, you use it all the time. But in the professional world or with strangers, tone is everything. Depending on how you say it, what can sound incredibly impatient or even demanding.
I've seen this happen. Like, if you're at a hotel front desk or in the workplace and a customer service rep says something and you just bark, "What?" That comes across as super aggressive. It sounds like a reprimand rather than a genuine request for clarification.
Highly rude, especially with someone you don't know well. So since pretending is dangerous and shouting "what" is a massive gamble that usually alienates the speaker, we need to build a functional toolkit.
Let's get into the actual phrases native speakers use. Let's break these down by specific use cases, because the context dictates which of these 5 tools you should actually pull out of your back pocket.
Let's start with the shortest, most efficient option for minor miscommunications. Expression number 1 is simply, sorry.
I feel like we really need to emphasize the intonation here. Tone is absolutely everything with this one. If I just look at you and say sorry with a falling pitch, I sound like I'm apologizing for bumping into your car.
Exactly. Prosody, which is the rhythm and intonation of speech, does all the heavy lifting here. It must have a rising intonation at the very end, exactly like a question. Sorry.
Ah, I hear the difference.
This single word communicates an entire complex sentence. It means, I didn't hear you, could you repeat that? Human ears are incredibly sensitive to pitch changes. A rising pitch universally signals an opening, a request for engagement. A falling pitch signals finality or submission.
So, sorry. With that upward inflection is basically a micro request. You'd use this when you miss a very short sentence, right? Like if someone says the store closes at 8
Yeah.
and you completely miss the time.
You just say sorry. It's quick, elegant, and keeps the conversational rhythm completely intact.
Okay, got it.
But what if the missed information was a longer, more complex sentence? Or you need to be a bit more explicit. That brings us to our second expression. Could you say that again?
I struggle with could you say that again sometimes because it feels like I'm abruptly interrupting their flow. Is there a way to signal that I'm about to interrupt before I actually say the phrase?
That is a great observation. A pro tip here is adding the word sorry to the very beginning. Sorry, could you say that again?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the sorry acts as a conversational buffer. It alerts the speaker that a disruption is coming, so their brain naturally pauses, and then you deliver the request. You can also say, could you repeat that, please? Which is slightly more formal alternative.
It's almost like a conversational reset button that clears the cache. You're acknowledging the error and politely asking them to reload the page.
That is a highly accurate way to look at it. And notice we use could instead of can. In sociolinguistics, could is a modal verb that creates distance, which translates directly to politeness.
Interesting. So can is too direct.
Exactly. Can you say that again? Is a bit direct, almost questioning their physical ability to speak. Could you say that again? Frames it as a polite, hypothetical request. It softens the entire interaction.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, so telling them to repeat it works beautifully unless they just repeat themselves at the exact same hyperspeed.
Right.
What happens when the words are just flying past you in a blur? That leads to our third expression. I didn't catch that.
Yes. And if we connect this to the bigger picture of cognitive science, the best way to understand why this phrase works so well is to think about auditory processing delay.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Auditory processing delay. Wait, like catching a baseball?
Basically, yes. But think of it precisely like buffering a streaming video.
Oh, okay.
The physical sound hits your eardrum, the audio data arrives in your brain, but your brain's translation software is still loading. Saying, I didn't catch that, accurately describes this phenomena. It tells the other person exactly what happened. You heard the physical sound of them speaking, but the actual data didn't land in your working memory before the next sentence started.
I always felt weird using that phrase because I thought it was just slang. But looking at it as an auditory processing delay makes it incredibly logical. It's not just a casual idiom, it's a remarkably accurate... Perfect for fast speech or noisy environments, like missing that a train leaves from platform 14 because the acoustics are terrible.
Absolutely. If a station worker mumbles, your train leaves from platform 14, you naturally respond, sorry, I didn't catch that. Which platform? Is incredibly natural. You can also tweak this one to be even softer by adding the word quite. I didn't quite catch that.
I like that.
Yeah, it just rounds out the hard edges of the sentence, making it sound extremely polite and gentle.
Understood. But let's talk about the major limitation of this phrase. If I say, I didn't quite catch that, and they just repeat the sentence at the exact same lightning-fast speed, I'm still stuck buffering. How do we slow them down without sounding condescending?
The dreaded copy-paste repetition. For this specific scenario, we use our fourth expression. Could you speak a little more slowly?
I really want to highlight the phrase a little here because If I just look at someone and say, speak slowly, it sounds terribly aggressive, like a military order.
It does.
I've noticed that when you ask someone to speak slowly without that modifier, they sometimes overcorrect and talk to you like you're a toddler. That's almost worse.
It is worse, and it's because speak slowly is a direct command. In linguistics, we call words like a little mitigators. They soften the impact of a request.
Fumigators, right.
Speak slowly is a demand that threatens the other person's autonomy. Could you speak a little more slowly is a collaborative request. The mitigator is the social lubricant that makes the request respectful rather than confrontational. It keeps the interaction on an adult-to-adult level.
This seems essential for phone calls. Phone calls are notoriously difficult because you can't read lips, see facial expressions, or use any visual context clues.
Exactly. The cognitive load on a phone call is much higher. Say you're filling out a form for the front desk. If the clerk is rattling off instructions quickly over a static-filled connection, using a mitigator keeps the interaction pleasant while getting you the actual time you need to process the information. They are forced to break their connected speech into distinct words.
Okay, we have one more tool to cover. Expression number 5. Did you say?
This is a surgical tool. You use this when your working memory successfully processed most of the sentence, but you just need to verify one highly specific detail.
So we're talking about names, numbers, prices, addresses. The concrete data that you really don't want to get wrong.
Exactly. Working memory can only hold about 3 to 5 chunks of information at a time. If you make someone repeat a long, complex sentence just because you missed the time of an appointment, you're taxing both of your brains unnecessarily. Instead, you isolate the gap. If I say, the appointment is on Thursday at 10.
You would reply, did you say Thursday at 10 or Tuesday at 10?
Thursday at 10. This is such a confident move. It shows you were paying close attention and participating actively. You just needed to verify one variable. It puts you back in the driver's seat of the conversation.
Okay, let's do a quick recap so you, the listener, can cement these in your mind before we put them to the real-world test.
Great idea.
We have, with a rising pitch for short misses, could you say that again? Which acts as our conversational reset button. I didn't catch that. For when your brain is buffering the audio, could you speak a little more slowly? Using a little as our essential mitigator. And finally, did you say, oh, our surgical tool for verifying specific facts?
Excellent summary. Now that you have these tools in your conversational toolkit, we're going to replay that disastrous meeting conversation from the very beginning of the deep dive. But this time, we're going to apply these exact expressions and see how completely different it feels.
I'll be the learner again, but this time an empowered learner who isn't afraid to manage the flow of information.
Let's do it. I'll be the colleague walking up with a meeting update. Ready?
Ready.
Hey, do you have a minute?
Sure. What's up?
We've changed the time and location of tomorrow's team meeting.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. What did you change?
The time and location of tomorrow's meeting.
Okay. Could you say the new time again?
It was originally at 3:30, but now it starts at 3:15.
Did you say 3:15?
Yes, 3:15.
Understood. And where will it be?
In the large conference room on the 3rd floor, next to the finance department.
Sorry.
The large conference room on the 3rd floor.
I heard that part, but could you speak a little more slowly? I didn't understand what you said after 3rd floor.
Of course. The conference room is next to the finance department.
Next to the finance department. Makes sense.
Also, could you bring the latest sales report? We'll be discussing the results from the last quarter.
Sorry, could you say that again?
Please bring the latest sales report.
The latest sales report.
That's right.
Okay, let me check that I have everything correct. The meeting is tomorrow at 3:15 in the large conference room on the 3rd floor, and I need to bring the latest sales report.
Exactly.
Great! Thanks for repeating that.
No problem. Better to check than to miss the meeting.
And scene, wow, night and day difference.
Right.
That actually felt like a real productive dialogue.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, look at why that works so perfectly. You, as the listener in that scenario, didn't panic. But more importantly, you didn't ask to have the entire massive message repeated every single time.
Right. I was using targeted checks. When I asked, what did you say after 3rd floor? It kept the conversation moving forward. It didn't feel like we were stuck in the mud, endlessly repeating the same paragraph.
It remained fast and easy for both of us, because I didn't have to guess what you missed. The illusion of transparency makes us think others know exactly why we are confused, but they don't unless we verbalize it. You directed me right to the missing piece of the puzzle.
And that summary at the very end, I love doing that. It feels like hitting a save point in a video game.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
Yeah, you repeat the important data back 315, third floor, sales report, and it just locks it in. It secures your progress. Plus, it gives the other person a chance to correct you before it's too late.
A save point is brilliant. It is active listening in its purest form. You aren't just passively letting the language wash over you and hoping you magically absorb it. You are actively managing the flow of information.
And honestly, it makes you look more professional, not less. When you summarize like that, it proves competence and builds trust.
Which is exactly what we want. But of course, all this linguistic theory and knowledge is completely useless if you don't apply it. It is time for you to actively practice what you just learned.
Yes, we are issuing you a shadowing challenge right now. We want you to physically pause this audio in a moment and speak out loud for 30 seconds. Here is your specific prompt. What do you normally do when your mind goes blank in an English conversation?
And as you answer that out loud, we challenge you to use at least 2 of the expressions we covered today. For example, you might say, when I freeze up, I usually say sorry with a rising tone. And if I still don't understand, I ask them to speak a little more slowly.
Exactly. Speak it into the room. Train your mouth to make those shapes so that the next time you are in a panic, muscle memory takes over. You won't even have to think about the cognitive load. The phrases will just be there.
Before we wrap up today's session, I want to leave you with a deeper thought to mull over. We put so much immense pressure on ourselves to be perfectly fluent. But does that intense pressure actually make us worse communicators?
Ooh, that's a tough question.
Think about it. When you pretend to understand just to maintain the illusion of flawless language skills, you are actually destroying the communication. Asking someone to repeat themselves doesn't mean your English is bad. It proves you are actively listening. It proves you genuinely care about understanding them correctly. Vulnerability is a strength in communication, not a weakness.
So, what does this all mean? It means true fluency is about connection, not perfection. If the message gets across and the relationship is maintained, you won the interaction.
Precisely.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive, but your journey doesn't stop here. If you find yourself often giving very short answers because you're nervous, or if you just want to keep expanding your conversational toolkit, watch our next episode. Well, our next deep dive. What to say when your taxi is going the wrong way.
Oh, that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, we are going to teach you exactly how to politely step in, stop a driver, and fix a destination without causing a huge scene.
It is going to be a highly practical discussion. Thank you so much for joining us. And remember to be kind to yourself as you learn.
Until next time, don't forget, true fluency is about connection, not perfection. So the next time that auditory buffering delay kicks in, just tell them you didn't quite catch it.